All right, I've got a great spot for you in the Portland metropolitan area today, especially if you want something maybe a little bit more rural, maybe with a little bit more acreage, but not too far outside of the city, and bonus points if you like wine. Let's take a look. Everyone, welcome back to the channel, Living in Oregon. Today I'm going to show you mostly drone footage, a little bit of map, a little bit of driving footage, but two smaller areas just outside of city limits. So these areas are unincorporated, and you probably will not have heard of these areas if you're not from here. And in fact, actually, if you are from here and maybe live over far out west or far out east, you might not even be familiar with these areas either. So these areas are just outside of city limits in West Linn. I'll quickly show you where these are at on a map. So this is the city of West Linn right here, bordered by that red and white border, about 15 minutes south of Portland. So where we're going to be looking at today is this area over here where it says Stafford, also Shadowwood, mostly really known as Stafford. It'll seep a little bit over into Lake Oswego, and then we're going to look at this area down here. It says far west on the map. This area is known as Pete's Mountain. This will also fall within West Linn's zip code of 97068. It's going to be real close to the border, although of Wilsonville, and their zip code over there of 97070. So Stafford. And here's the boundaries for Stafford. There's about 2,000 people, roughly, give or take, that live in this area. So the drone footage you're seeing right now, this is of the Stafford area, sort of heading north. The road below is Rosemont Road, and that winery down there is Oswego Hills. I mentioned that if you like wine, this area might interest you. There's about a half a dozen wineries in this area. I'll get to them in just a moment. And if you watched our video the other week about properties that have acreage, this area was not included. Our criteria for the other week on that video was properties that had at least 2 acres that were closer to average size and average price points, so mostly under $1 million. This area doesn't quite fit that criteria. These homes are going to be a little bit larger, or a lot larger in some cases, and going to have commensurate price points. There's about 2,000 people that live in this area of Stafford. Like I mentioned, it is mostly in West Linn zip code of 97068. There's just under a dozen properties for sale in this area right now, and if you want to see some of those properties, I will get to those towards the end of this video. One of the great things about this area is this is, like I mentioned, West Linn is just outside of the city, about 15-20 minutes away, and this is just outside of West Linn, so you're definitely going to be within a kind of magic mark of being within 30 minutes of the city that so many people want to stay within. Just below what you're seeing down there is Lucier Farm, which is a really popular attraction. You've got some community gardens down there. You've got the field down there for soccer, football. There's a couple of dog parks down there. There's a lot of places, trails and paths that people go walking down there. You can actually walk from West Linn all the way to Lake Oswego, taking one of the paths that you may have saw below just a moment ago. It's about a 7-mile walk. On the other side of I-205, which is the other area that we're going to cover, known as Pete's Mountain. If you're looking at a map right here, it's going to say, you'll see far west, but really it's kind of just to the left, to the west of Mountain Road right here. You can kind of split it down the middle. This area is known as Pete's Mountain. Most of it is going to fall within, like I mentioned, West Linn zip code of 97068. Over here is Wilsonville. Most of the people who are going to be accessing Pete's Mountain are going to be doing so right off of 205 through Old Town Willamette, or also known as downtown West Linn. So that hill that you can see in the background there, that is Pete's Mountain. So you do have very close access to shops and restaurants, whether it be West Linn or if you want to head over to the other side towards Wilsonville. And of course, being over in Stafford, you've got the best of both worlds in that you're very close to West Linn, but you're also very close to Lake Oswego. You're not going to have a whole lot of commercial space in these two areas of Stafford and Pete's Mountain, but you do have a few things aside from the wineries that I'll get to in just a moment. This is the Oregon Golf Club. The Women's LPGA Tour was just recently there. And then right next to the golf club, which is what you're seeing here in this drone footage. This is kind of top of the hill for Pete's Mountain. You do have one of your mini wineries, one of your half dozen wineries, which you can kind of see just on the right side of that tree line down there, which is Tumwater Vineyard. And as you can kind of see, like I said, these are not smaller average homes. They do exist. You can find some more average older homes or homes that would put you closer to an average price point, at least factoring in being on a little bit of acreage, which most of these properties are. I actually have a property right now under contract in this area that's going to fall a little bit more in line with somebody that's looking for something a little bit more average. But as you can see, you're going to be able to find more estate style properties on Pete's Mountain. If you've got kids, the schools here are rated about as highly as you will find anywhere in the state of Oregon. As you might imagine, for the most part, for high school, you're going to be looking at West Linn. Like I mentioned, there are a few places that are going to be right on the border of Lake Oswego, so you might be in Lake Ridge High School or right on the border of Wilsonville, so for Wilsonville High School. Aside from that elementary school, you're looking at Stafford Elementary. You also have Trillium Creek Elementary, which will be closer to the Stafford part that's right on the border of West Linn. Trillium Creek is one of the newer elementary schools. And then you've also got West Ridge Elementary School. We've got a couple middle schools. Could potentially be Lake Ridge Middle School. Could potentially be Meridian Creek. If you see Athey Creek Middle School online, that has been converted to a choice high school, which is called Riverside. One of the nice amenities that you have here is Willamette Park. There's a couple Willamette parks around the Portland metropolitan area, so not to be confused with the one in Portland. That's the park right there. You can see the baseball field. It sits just below where the downtown is. Downtown West Linn, Old Town Willamette. Lots of events and festivals taking place every year here. You do have, as you can see in the bottom right hand corner, I'm kind of covering that up with my face, but you do have boat ramp access. Not going to be too many places that are too close by for the people that live in this area to access a boat ramp. There's a few other. But that will be one of the primary ones. Beyond that, there's quite a few parks. They won't necessarily all be walkable. I would say if you're looking for something a little bit more walkable between the two, Stafford, which is what you're seeing right now, we're driving down Rosemont Road, actually just past Oswego Hills, getting actually really right into the border into West Linn. This area is going to be a little bit more walkable. Pete's Mountain is very, very secluded. Not a whole lot of things you're going to be able to walk to. Like I said, from here you can actually walk all the way from West Linn to Lake Oswego. Lots of parks that you can walk to. Handful of places that you might be able to stop and get a bite to eat. And I'll take you to one of the schools that I mentioned is right up here on the left. We'll take a turn in there real quick, take a quick peek at that school, and then we'll get into some of the properties. Most of these properties are going to be in the Stafford area. There's only one property right now that's on the market on Pete's Mountain. There's usually a few more properties that are on the market, usually 2, 3, 4. Only one right now. I am familiar with it though, so I'll get into the details of that in just a moment. But after we drive through the school here, which again, this is Trillium, which is one of the more desirable schools for the area, really for the entire Portland metropolitan area. Like I mentioned, you can't go wrong with any of these schools. From primary school to middle school to high school, any school that you end up in one of these two areas are going to be, again, about as highly rated as anything that you're going to find really in the state of Oregon. All right, so let's get to some properties. I want to show you, just kind of want to give you an idea for size, acreage, price point of what's currently on the market in these areas. But before we look at those properties real quickly, I mentioned if you like wine, this might be a great area for you. And this is the reason why. Again, this is the area that we're talking about right here where I'm circling my mouse. So you got about a half dozen, at least that I know of, vineyards. And they're all a little bit different too, which is really nice. Tumwater Vineyard that I mentioned at the top of Pete's Mountain is going to be a little bit more formal, whereas a place like Pete's Mountain Vineyard and Winery is going to be a good place where you can take the kids and let kids run around. Campbell Lane going to be a little bit more formal. In fact, I think they only allow adults, known for their dinner parties that they do. Got Barnello Winery, and then Twill. I have not been to Twill yet, actually. I do plan to go to Twill at some point. Highly rated, though. Heard great things about it. And then at the beginning of this video that you saw, Oswego Hills Vineyard. Oswego Hills is a great place to take the family. You can see kind of that green space, that little field down there right next to the grapes. Usually people down there letting the kids run around while the adults hang out under the covered space right down there. Can't really see it from the drone footage, but there is a fence that separates that field and Rosemont Road right there, so you don't have to worry about the kids running out into the road. And as you can see from this map, you really won't find a higher concentration of wineries or vineyards anywhere else in the Portland metropolitan area. You have to start heading south-southwest down here towards Oregon's wine country, down towards Newburgh, McMinnville, Dayton, Dundee. This is where Oregon's kind of wine country is. Now, Google Maps, admittedly, they're not going to show us every single thing here, but this gives you a pretty good idea of where a lot of the wineries and vineyards are. You're going to find some out west out here too. Not everything, I'm sure, of course, is showing up on Google Maps, but if you do want to live in a place in the Portland metropolitan area and have a handful of wineries and do your own kind of little wine tour day on a Sunday or something like that, not going to find a better area than the Stafford Pete's Mountain area. All right, so let's look at some of the properties over here. We'll start with Stafford first. Like I said, Pete's Mountain, there's only one thing currently on the market. These, for the most part, will fall within the zip code of West Linn, like I've mentioned, but a few are going to fall right on the border of Lake Oswego. So first one, we're looking at 4-bed, 3.5 bath, about 3,500 square feet, listed at $1.29 million. On just 3/4 of an acre. Again, this one is right on the border, so this one's going to be a little bit less rural. The others are going to usually have a little bit more acreage. This one also just a 1/4 acre, but 4-bed, 4-bath, almost 5,000 square feet, built in 2018, listed at $1.58 million. And these properties, for the most part, are going to be pretty typical of what you are going to find in this area. Either newer, or if they're not super new, you're going to find that most of them will have updates. Did find one that fell right on the border that was older, a 1944 resale, but on 5 acres, still being a 1944 with 3,183 square feet and 4 beds, puts you at a list price of $1.623 million. There are 3 new builds, or proposed builds right now. I don't know that they've actually broken ground yet, but what you're looking at here is 4-bed, 3.5 bath, 3,756 square feet, listed at $1.857 million. And these homes are built by Garrett Custom Homes. The other one is going to be very similar, 3-bed, 3-bath, 4,190 square feet on 1.25 acres. Listed at just under $2 million, $1.971 million. You've got one listed at $2.249 million. 5 beds, 3.5 baths, 4,349 square feet at 1.5 acres. Beyond that, this one is on Rosemont Road. It's actually just up the road from Oswego Hills Vineyard that we were looking at just a moment ago. 4-bed, 3-bath, 5,000 square feet, $2.5 million on 5.13 acres. This property right here, a 5-bed, 6.2, so you got 2 half baths, over 10,000 square feet, 10,446 square feet. I believe it is owned by a very notorious professional athlete, although it's not public information, so I won't say who. On just over 8 acres. Again, these are all on the Stafford side. All right, next one that we have listed at $3.2 million, a 4-bed, 3.5 bath, just over 4,000 square feet, 5.56 acres. This one also is going to be a new build. This one, I don't believe they have yet broken ground on it. They might, or they're getting close. This one is by Renaissance Homes. Renaissance Homes does a lot of the luxury homes in this area, especially in Lake Oswego. Next one is a 5-bed, 5.5 bath, 6,440 square feet, listed at $3.6 million, 0.84 acres. And then right here, this is actually, you would have seen this in some of the footage. This is on the other side of Rosemont Road from Oswego Hills. So we have 28.96 acres. So mostly paying for the acreage here, listed at $3.995 million, 4 beds, 2 baths, 2,994 square feet. Whenever you see a property like this where you don't have any image of the dwelling or many images of the dwellings, kind of tells you everything that you need to know. It means that you're mostly buying the land or mostly buying something else more so than the property itself. The property itself may not necessarily always be in the best shape. This might be able to be developed. If you have questions about that, if you're a developer or somebody that's looking for a lot of acreage, definitely reach out to us. This next one's actually going to be right on the border over towards the city of West Linn. This one is public information and was owned by a recently former trailblazer, Yusuf Nurkic. 5-bed, 6.3, so 3 half baths, over 10,000 square feet, listed at $4.595 million on just over 2 acres. This is in a really nice dead-end road area too, where there's only about 8 properties, so pretty private. Not that most of these aren't on private or gated roads, but this one I think is in a particularly good area. If you want to be really close to town, you're actually walkable to some stuff. You're walkable to some parks and shopping with this one, which is going to make it unique, but it's still going to be very, very secluded. And then this one, okay, that one just showed up redundantly for some reason. All right, so Pete's Mountain, the one property currently listed on Pete's Mountain. By the way, I want to make it clear, none of these are my listings. My name is Seth Marchant. I'm a licensed broker in the state of Oregon. I've helped a lot of people buy homes and relocate to the state of Oregon. So if you have any questions about one of these listings, I can certainly help you out. And I do have a little bit more knowledge about this particular listing than you might be able to infer online, specifically about its recent history. I actually have some photos of this property that you won't find online. A little bit of a story for you that you might wonder about if you do some digging into this property online and its history. It's listed at $2.59 million, a 5-bed, 4.2 baths, 7,248 square feet on just over 3 acres. This one's going to be kind of right at the top of Pete's Mountain, kind of past Tumwater Vineyard when you turn down Schaefer Road right before you get to Tumwater. And we'll finish this video with the top of Pete's Mountain facing north towards Portland. Body of water that you see down there, the big body of water, is the Willamette River. You can kind of see a little bit of that white, kind of whitewater spray. That's the Willamette Falls, right where downtown Oregon City is. So it's been a pleasure introducing you to this, what I think is one of the best places in the Portland metropolitan area if you're looking for something a little bit more rural that's not too far outside of town. If you have more questions about moving to this area, again, I'm a licensed broker in the state of Oregon. I invite you to call, text, email, or you can click the link below in the description of this video on YouTube if you want to get into our calendar and schedule a Zoom call with us. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Feel free to leave a comment. And if you want to see more videos that really dig in to all of the areas, especially in the Portland metropolitan area, all the pros and cons, drone footage, driving footage, real estate market updates, really everything that you could possibly want to know if you're thinking about moving to the area, make sure and subscribe to this channel. Until next time, take care, everyone.